Welcome back. In our last lesson, we started connecting our SokobanGame class to our PhaserGame instance. We did this by creating a new game manager script, which is responsible for taking our tilemap data and converting it into the data we need for Sokoban. Our script is going to be our game manager, and it's going to be responsible for spawning our player and our box prefabs and handling our player input. In this lesson, we're going to continue extending our game manager script by adding in this logic. Next, for our game manager script, we're going to work on adding in logic to dynamically create our player and our box prefabs. Previously, when we created these prefabs, we manually created an instance and then positioned them in our level. So this works when our game is very small, but it becomes cumbersome as our game grows, and as we want to make changes to our level. As an example, if I update my tile map and update my player's starting position, I'll need to come in and manually move our player to match that position. Likewise, if I just want to do something like move our level over, now I need to manually move my player and my boxes. By dynamically creating these game objects, it's going to make our game much more scalable. So now to create our player and our box prefabs, we're going to rely on the information from our Sokoban game. When we get our player and our box positions, these are going to be the coordinates of where they're positioned in our level. And we'll need to take those coordinates and convert them into our phaser scene coordinates. In order to do this, we're going to need to know where our tile layer is currently positioned in our phaser scene, and then based on that position, we can calculate where to create those game objects. To start adding in our code, let's add a method to create our player. We're going to add a private method. We're going to call this createPlayer. To create our player, we'll need to know the position of our player from our Sokoban game. So now in this method, we'll want to get a reference to our player position from our game state. So let's create a new variable. We'll do const, and we'll do player tile position, and we're going to set it equal to this, our Sokoban game. We want to get our game state, and from our game state, we'll grab our player position. Let's do a quick console log, and we're going to log out our tile position. Now in our wake method, let's call this.createPlayer. Now if we come back to our browser, let's refresh. Once we start our game, we'll see we log out our object that has our player's x and y coordinate. And so our coordinate, this is tied to our level, and now we just need to calculate where this would be in our phaser scene. So to do that calculation, we'll make a new method, since we'll need to reuse this for our boxes as well. So we'll have our private method, and we're going to call this tile to world position. So now in this method, we'll need to know our x and y coordinate. So we'll have our tile x, our tile y. So now to calculate our position, for our given tile, we know our x and y location. For that tile, we need to know how big they are in our tile layer. That way we can multiply our x and y value to figure out where we need to position that tile in our game. To get our tile size, we can grab that from one of our tile layers. I'm going to do a console log. We'll log out our wall tile layer. And now we just need to call our method. So in our createPlayer, let's do this. We'll call our tile to world position. We'll pass in our player tile position, our x, our player tile position, and our y. Now in our browser, if we refresh, we should see our tile map layer get logged. And so to find the size of our tiles, if we go into our tile map object, there's two properties, tile width and tile height. We can use these to know how big our individual tiles are. So we come back to our code. Let's calculate our x and y position. So we'll make a new variable. We're going to call this tile world x. We're going to set it equal to our tile x times our tile size. For our tile size, this is going to be this, our wall tile layer. We want to grab our tile map object. And now we want to grab our tile width. Now we'll do the same thing for our y. We're going to set equal to our tile y. We'll multiply with this, our wall tile, our tile map, and then our tile height. And so now let's return those values from our method here. So we're going to return an object. We'll have our x. Let's return our tile world x, our y, and our tile world y. So now this will give us our initial values. So back up in our createPlayer method, we'll want to store a reference to those values. So we're going to do const, we'll do player position, will be equal to our method. And now we can create an instance of our player prefab. So we'll want to store a reference to our player prefab on our class. So we'll do this. We're going to do player prefab will be equal to a new instance of our player prefab. Now we need to pass in our phaser scene. So from our script node, we'll do this.scene. And now we can use our player position x, our player position y. So once we create our player prefab, we just need to add it to our phaser scene. So we'll do this.scene.add.existing. We'll pass in our player prefab. Now once we want to add that property to our class, So we have our private property. And this will be an instance of our player prefab. So now if we save, come back to our browser, let's refresh, we'll see we have a new instance of our player prefab added to our scene. Nice. We can see our logic for creating our player is working. Now we just need to fix our X and Y position so it's lined up with our tile map. So for this, we're going to need to grab our X and Y value of where our tile map layer is positioned in our game, so we can use that as our starting location so we can offset our player. So to add in that offset, let's make a new variable. We'll do const. We're going to call this world X. We're going to set it equal to this, our wall tile layer. We want to grab our X position, and then we'll want to add our tile world X value to this. We'll do the same thing for our Y. So we'll do this, our wall tile layer, our Y position, and now we'll add in our tile world Y for our offset. And now we'll update our return values. So we'll return our world X and our world Y. Now if we save and come back to our game, we'll see our player is closer to our starting location. Finally, to get our player where we need them to be, there's two more changes we need to make for our calculations. First is tied to our scaling that we apply to our tile map layers. So for each of our tile map layers, when we add them to our phaser scene, we scaled them by 2. What this means is our tiles are no longer 16 pixels by 16 pixels when we render them out in phaser. We need to scale our positioning by that value as well. So if we come back to our game manager script, we're going to want to multiply our tile world X by that scale factor. So to get that value, we can reference our wall tile layer, and then from our game object, we want to grab our scale X property. We'll want to do the same thing to our Y, but we'll reference our scale Y property. So now back over in our game, we'll see our player is almost in the position we need. For our last change, this is tied to the origin on our game object. So for our tile coordinates, when we calculate our value, it's positioning that value in our top left-hand corner of our tile. For our player, since our origin is in the center, that's where we're positioning our game object. So we have two approaches we could take here. We could update the origin on our prefab so it's in our top left-hand corner, and that'll move our player over, or we can add in that offset to our calculation. And so to calculate that offset, we just need to add in our tile width and divide it by 2, so we move our player halfway over and then halfway down. So now to get that value, we'll copy this here. We're going to add that, and we'll divide it by 2. We'll do the same thing to our Y. Now if we save, let's come back to our game, and now our player is positioned right in the center of our tile. So just to make sure everything's working, let's come back to our level 1 scene. Let's remove our player prefab from our scene. If we save, come back to our browser, we'll see our player prefab still exists since we're dynamically creating it from our game manager script. Nice. So now we have our base logic in place for creating our player. We can do the same thing for our boxes. So let's jump back over to our scene in phaser editor. Let's remove our box prefab. Let's save. Now come back to our game manager script. Let's add a method to create our boxes. So we're going to do create boxes. To create our boxes, we'll need to grab our box positions from our game states. Let's do const. We're going to do our box tile positions is equal to this, our SokobanGame. We'll get our game state. Let's grab our box positions. And now that we have our array, we just need to iterate over our array and create our box prefabs. So for our box prefabs, we're going to store those in an array on our class. So we'll do box prefabs. We'll have an array of those. So now down in our method, let's do for, we'll do const. Let's do tile position of box tile positions. Now inside our for loop, we want to calculate our position. So let's just copy this line of code here from our player, paste it. We'll call this box position. Now we want to pass in our tile position X, our tile position Y. Now that we have our location, we just need to create an instance of our prefab. Let's copy these 2 lines of our code here, paste it. So we'll do const, we'll do box prefab is equal to a new box prefab. We'll pass in our scene, our box position X, our box position Y. We'll want to add our box prefab to our scene. And now we'll want to store our reference to it in our class. So we're going to reference our box prefabs. We're going to do push our box prefab. Now we just need to call our new method from our awake method. So after we create our player, let's do this. We'll do create boxes. Let's clean up our console log. Let's save. Come over to our browser, let's refresh. Oh, looks like we have an issue. Ah yes, for our box prefabs, we never initialized our array. So down in create boxes, let's do this. We'll do our box prefabs will be equal to an empty array. So now if we start our game, oh, looks like we have an issue with spawning our boxes. So let's come back to our code. When we called add existing, we passed in box position, not our box prefab game object. So if we try again, much better. Now that we have our logic for dynamically spawning our player and our box prefabs, the last change we'll make to our game manager script is we're going to add in code to hide our player and our block layers from our game. So previously when we created our level and we added in our box and player prefabs, we manually set the visibility for our two layers in Phaser Editor to hide those tile layers. Instead of manually doing this, we're going to add in code to dynamically do this. By making this dynamic, later on as we create more levels, we don't have to manually remember to do this step. So if we come back to our game manager script, after we create our game objects, let's hide our two layers. So we'll add a new method. We're going to call this hide layers. And inside here, we'll want to reference our player tile layer. We're going to call set visible. We'll set this to be false. And now we'll do the same thing for our block tile layer. We'll do set visible. Let's do false. And now we just need to call our new method. So in our awake method, we're going to call this hide layers. Let's save. If we come back to our game, once we start our level, we shouldn't notice any difference. Just to make sure our logic's working, let's comment out all 3 lines of our code here so we don't create our player and our boxes. So now if we refresh, we'll see our static player is visible. So if we uncomment out our code for hide layers, we refresh, we'll no longer see our player or our boxes. Nice. Now that we've verified our code, we'll uncomment those lines. And now we have our game objects. So by dynamically spawning our player and our boxes, this is going to make our game much more scalable. Later on, we'll be able to add new levels to our game, and all we'll have to do is drop in an instance of our game manager script, and this will handle creating those prefabs for us. So in our next lesson, we're going to continue working on our game manager script, and we're going to add in our logic for handling our player input. Once we have our player input in place, we should have a fully playable level that we can test.